creative association Chance presents The fortune of Russia has been inseparable from the fortune of its merchant marine since the reign of Peter the Great. He laid the basis for the Russian national shipbuilding and established regular navigation in Russia. Our seafarers had gone from the Varangian lands to the Greek country, to Krumant and Mangazeya, conquered the north and discovered new lands long before that. But at a certain moment of time, Peter the Great understood that it was a matter of national importance. He said, "May sea vessels be built?" The Boyar Duma approved that proposal, and that was the starting point of the Russia's national fleet. These faded photos of Vladivostok were made last century. It happened so that those faraway territories were among the last to be explored by our mariners. The best seamen have always enhanced the glory of our country, and their lives at sea started here. The life at sea starts here. The sea has always attracted the best people. It is no accident that the ancient Greeks subdivided all the human beings into the quick, the dead, and the seamen. Those who devoted their lives to this dangerous element have always been reputed an elite in Russia. Who is our future elite? Who are the cadets of the Admiral Naval Square Far Eastern State Maritime Academy, which is the largest educational institution in the east of Russia? Who are the people who will work in the marine in the 21st century? My granddad graduated from this academy, so did my dad. This is sort of our family tradition. I followed in my father's footsteps. The quality of the education is rather high here. There is a lot of modern equipment in the academy. It is one of those educational institutions which are best equipped with navigational and technical trainer simulators in the world. I have never lived at the seashore. My native town is located 1,000 kilometers away from here. My parents have never gone out to sea. It just happened so. I wanted to come here. And here I am. They have covered many thousand kilometers to come here. It is no capital or any foreign town but Vladivostok. They chose not a prestigious and popular institution but a maritime academy, and it is especially important. This institution introduces a new approach to education. Its graduates will keep the best traditions of the Russian seamen for life. Even if some of them work ashore, they will always remember the unique smell of the sea, roaring waves, gusty winds, and the loyalty to the sea brotherhood. And it all started more than a century ago. Looking back at the history of our academy, says Professor V.I. Sidikh, Commandant of the Maritime Academy, Doctor of Science, we should say that a maritime educational institution can be arranged as a maritime school, a high maritime school, or an academy. But the experts who work here have always promptly responded to all the developments in the Far East, whether these developments are of economic, social, or political nature. The point is that today no one can imagine Vladivostok or the Far East in general without a maritime academy.
Морская академия.
It was established 110 years ago. Looking back, we can see that the history of the Academy was not always a bed of roses. We went along a thorny path, seeking after the knowledge, developing the science, establishing and keeping the traditions of solidarity and the maritime brotherhood. The names and the rare pictures of first commandants, instructors and graduates have been carefully preserved. They include Panov, Neopokoyev, Arsenyev. Yes, Vladimir Claudievich Arsenyev, a famous explorer of the Far East, also studied here. Alexander Vladimirovich Borisov was the first commandant of the newly promoted Higher Maritime School. Some cadets were older than the commandant of the school. The first class of graduates of the Maritime School was considered to be full of stars, and Borisov called them first people of the future. Now they work all over the country. Some of them passed away, but their names will go down the history of the fleet. Their biographies are carefully preserved in this amazing museum. Anatoly Viktorovich Zhmak, director of the museum, has done a great deal to develop the exhibition. He is deeply devoted to his work, and the social position is not the reason. He was brought up a patriot in the academy. This man has picked up priceless nuggets of information on the history of the maritime education. As for the instructors, we can't help mentioning Anatoly Stepanovich Frolov, who was the commandant of the Maritime School for over 20 years, of the renowned shipmaster Anna Ivanovna Shetinina, or Gennady and Evgeny Zhukov. Nowadays, we rarely compliment young people, but those who will take the places of the veterans on the bridges, in the engine rooms, at the berths and in the shipways in the 21st century are surely worthy of their predecessors. This opinion is widely shared here in the Admiral Nevelskoye Maritime Academy. Today, the maritime education in the Far East and in Russia in general meets all the national and international requirements for the training of their personnel. But the point is that right now we need substantial legal, structural, financial and economic reforms. Having faced these problems in our higher school, we worked out certain principles which in our opinion would help a young man to remain a patriot, to respect his country, to respect each other, to respect and understand his occupation, to be able and to work as a professional, as it is the most important thing. Though Sidikh is a doctor of science and a professor, he has got too little time to give lectures and do scientific research. Probably he's the only one to know how much strength, persistence and diplomacy one needs to solve very simple problems here. Yesterday's school children, who became cadets of the academy, have got clothes, shoes, food, live in decent conditions, study, rest, go in for sports. No one but Sidikh knows the true cost of it. Of course, it's a state academy, but we all know the scarce resources which the state has got to finance its education. And Sidikh has to pay salaries on time. And the salaries should be appropriate to engage the best instructors. But let us not dwell on sad things. This is one of the critical and painful problems these days. Nevelskoye used to say, the Amur and the Ussuri territories with the seas that wash them are the only places to strengthen appropriate political positions of Russia in its Far East and to establish a school to teach our maritime crews. Today this prophecy has come true, first of all thanks to the Academy. Nowadays it is essentially a technical university which influences not only the maritime territory, but all the Siberia and even the rest of Russia in a whole number of things. Textbooks and manuals are one of the priorities for the commandant of the academy. Maritime educational institutions all over Russia use the manuals published by the Academy. And there are also computers and trainer simulators here. By the way, the new Maritime Simulator Center of the Academy is not only the best in Russia, it's the most advanced and technologically sophisticated one in the country. Many invisible routes connect Vladivostok to other countries and continents. Graduates of the Academy go on long-distance and very hard voyages, but they remain worthy representatives of their alma mater, their native land and Russia. There's no other way, as they are graduates of the Higher Maritime School of the Far East. The territorial administration appreciates the Academy at its true value. The authorities try to help and support it any way they can.
Для Приморья,
the maritime education is of special importance for the maritime territory, the Far East and the Russian Federation, which has got the longest sea borders on planet Earth, says Г.И.Невельского, governor of the maritime territory. Though it was hard, we spared no effort to keep the proper and worthy standards of the maritime education.
Мы даже многие аппараты начинали с того, есть что кушать сегодня нашим курсантам училищ, колледжей, академий, институтов. Значит, и мы переломили этот момент, и мы эту ситуацию сохранили. А вместе с ней, я считаю, мы сохранили самое главное, что для нашей страны должно быть это государство.
This is why any reasons for the reduction of the maritime education with the reference to modern market relations sound unconvincing. The future of the fleet and the navy, the future of maritime officers is established in maritime schools and academies. I'm sure that this reduction we are experiencing today will cost our future generations dear. It must be symbolic that the first joint meeting of the boards of Ministries of Transport and Education took place on the threshold of the new century in the Naval Sky Academy in Vladivostok. Its participants discussed various subjects. They argued a lot, trying to convince each other. But as a result, they came to the same conclusion. The things they saw with their own eyes helped the leaders to grasp the specific character of the Maritime Academy and the need for selective approach to its problems. At the same time, they learned that there were many things in the system of the maritime education that deserved to be extended to the higher education of Russia. In my opinion, this academy should be the coordination center of the maritime education in the east of the country, says V.M. Zhurakovsky, first Deputy Minister of Education of Russia. Essentially, it is an academic or a university center we are talking about in connection with the governmental plans. The academy plays an important role as a methodical center of the education of every level, including vocational training, specialized secondary education, higher education, additional education. It won't be easy to fulfill this task and to go on with close cooperation with the employers, but no one else can do it. The importance of the academy constantly grows considering the increase of the economic might of the Asian-Pacific region. I mean the training of crews and other experts, says A.A. Shevchuk, Deputy Minister of Transport of Russia. They do a great deal of work in the academy. It plays an important role in training experts in marketing, logistics and management for our fleet. All these experts are in great need considering the economic development not only of the Asian-Pacific region but of the Far East and the Siberia. A man wearing a naval uniform has always been held in high respect in Russia. Everyone knew seamen would never let anyone down. They know the true value of hard work, the dangers and the risks, the importance of a friend who will lend a helping hand. The graduates of the academy belong to this kind. The instructors have got a dream here. Well, not a dream, but some principle which they are putting into practice. They would like to choose boys at school, to foster their love for sea since their childhood, and to lead them to the certificate of higher education, developing all the traits that are necessary to obtain a maritime profession. This system already exists. Long ago someone asked a wise man, "Why are you always studying? Years go by while you do it." Do they? Books have got subtle intellect and a tender heart. They help me to find a friend and warn me against all the dangers. They contain the simple truth that you can't do without in your life. Vyacheslav Ivanovich Sedych and his subordinates have got many plans and projects. The main thing is to let these people work without cutting their wings. Unfortunately, it happens quite often. It would be great if the authorities paid a little more attention to the academy, to the system of the maritime education, to the people who live and work here. Then this harsh land would really belong to us. The maritime education on the threshold of a new century. This is the name of the exhibition which opened here before the anniversary. The Far Eastern Maritime Academy does not look back to the past, but it turns to the future. And it is also a characteristic feature of the staff and the sign of our times. There were many guests here. More than a half of them came from other cities of Russia. But all of them belong here. Each of them has got his own relations with the academy.
I think
the main problem is that our leaders do not understand us quite well, says E.E. Kostelov, commandant of the Makarov Maritime Academy. I mean the Ministry of Education and even the government of Russia. The maritime education is a specific branch. I hope they'll understand it. If we are speaking about the educational system in general, I would like to say once again that the education in the maritime territory is advanced. Every higher educational institution has got its own style, which is highly esteemed in Russia and abroad. There is no other Russian region like that, says V.M. Zhirakovsky, first Deputy Minister of Education of Russia. We are celebrating this anniversary keeping in mind those possibilities in the development of the maritime education that were lost by our state in the last decade, says A.A. Lubavets, General Manager of Public Cooperation, the Far Eastern Shipping Company. But still we feel optimistic about the future. I'm really happy that everyone shares this point of view. People are very optimistic in the Far East, and it's great. Probably the training they get in their academy serves a good basis for such optimism. We hope they'll make it. But sooner or later, everything comes to an end and we can't do a thing about it. I mean anniversaries, exhibitions and staff meetings. But this chronicle of the festivities will be kept for several decades. Its name coincides with the name of our film. The Life at Sea starts here. No one has ever published a book like that before. It is no traditional anniversary edition. This book is devoted to the history of the Far East, the fleet, the maritime education, and the academy. This unique book was published thanks to the efforts and the devotion of its authors, despite all the hardships of our time. This book will serve a leading light for many generations of Russian seamen to come.
It is an honor to be here,
says Rod Shaw, chairman of the Maritime Education Association of the Asian Pacific
on
region.
the occasion of the launching of this book.
По случаю презентации этой книги.
And I take back with me to Australia very pleasant memories. Thank
И,
you very
конечно,
much.
он унесет с собой в Австралию очень приятные воспоминания о том, что он присутствовал на таком событии, свидетелем которого являемся мы сегодня.
They're going out to sea in order to come back home safe and sound. And they are always welcome to their Maritime Academy located at the coast of the Golden Horn Bay. subtle distinctions between veterans and young people, admirals and seamen are erased at these meetings. But they are all members of a great brotherhood of sailors here. The Alexandra navigation classes paved the way to the maritime education in Vladivostok. They were established on November 14, 1890. There were only 14 cadets there in the first year. Nowadays, our maritime academy is the rightful successor to these navigation classes. The maritime education is still popular and prestigious in Vladivostok. This is a great achievement of teachers and instructors of the academy. Dear comrades, dear graduates, the life at sea starts here. I would like to thank all the people who work here, all our teachers, says D. Karabanov, first deputy chairman of All Russian War Veterans Organization, the first class of graduates. It was in 1944, a year and a half before the end of the war. The government passed a decision on establishing 3 high navigation schools to train officers of the future fleet. They understood perfectly well that a great Russia is impossible without a fleet. While Russia is alive, sea vessels will go out to sea and come back, connecting various countries and nations. The national fleet will recover and gain strength. There is no other way. Hope is the name of the training sailing vessel of the Academy, and this is also very symbolic.
Славу России предки ковали, предвосхищая державы размах. Внуки Петра паруса поднимали на океанах и дальних морях. Время веков пронеслось от истока, флот украшает великую Русь. Школа морская у Владивостока, высшая школа, и ею горжусь. Дальневосточная морская академия морских наук, ты следующий оплот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Ковриков стены родные до боли, мудрых наставников опыт морской. Пресные будни добавим мы соли, нам позавидует сам Невельской. Вечной романтикой путь наш овеян, мы одолеем знаний границ. Курс моряка и отважен и верен, жизнь Магеллана волною кипит. Дальневосточная морская академия морских наук, ты следующий оплот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Ждут нас, друзья, континенты и страны, и как бы ветер порой не крепчал, нам предстоит покорять океаны, но не забудем мы первый причал. Полный вперед светлый лайнер науки, благословляем тебя и поем. Держу штурвал твой надежные руки, 7 футов вечно тебе под килем. Дальневосточная морская академия морских наук и следующий оплот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Верны традициям традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Дальневосточная морская академия морских наук и следующий оплот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот. Верны традициям курсантов поколения, прославивших собой российский флот.